RWBY Arrowfell is a 2D action-adventure that might seem like a Metroidvania, and has some of those trappings, but it's a little more Mega Man in design, where enemies are laid out across mostly flat terrain and some platforms, and you decide if you want to slash or shoot them down. This isn't as snappy as Mega Man, but it does feel a little tighter than something like Bloodstained Ritual of the Night, and you move at a very nice speed. You will occasionally come back to old levels to unlock new areas within, and these are nearly always necessary encounters. I was kind of sad that there was really not much in the vein of secrets here. That's something veterans like Shovel Knight have excelled at, and their absence always feels like a step backward. A big reason I play games is to explore and feel like I'm uncovering mysteries, but it was pretty fun to go through these levels the first time, and as someone who considers the genre a comfort, it fits nicely into a long evening game session at about 4 hours. The beginning of the game kind of acts like this could be your introduction to the series, and is a bit on the nose about how it teaches you things, but that's also kind of welcome because jumping into a big series like this can feel overwhelming. This is pretty simple though. Young people train in the world of Remnant to become hunters of monsters that are birthed from negative emotions. Ruby, Weiss, Blake, and Yang have graduated to full-fledged hunters by this point of the series, with Arrowfell taking place during Volume 7 of the anime. On this journey, they happen across a broken container that looks dangerously close to a Pokeball, which is being used to capture the monsters of this world called Grimm. The story is more coherent and technically better than the aforementioned Bloodstained Ritual of the Night, but there's a goofiness to that game that makes the plot very easy to swallow. This, on the other hand, very rightfully so as it has a lot of fans, does want you to take it very seriously. There's levity and humor, and it's a pretty light story, but it's also trying for an earnestness that I think gets lost in trying to introduce and develop so much in a small 4-hour game. To a newcomer, the plot got tiring pretty fast, and I'm not sure what this really has to offer to even fans outside of a cute little side gig the team takes on for a few days. They are trying to sell you on the idea of switching seamlessly between these 4 characters to solve different puzzles and make your combat more dynamic through their different abilities. It kind of does that. You definitely need to switch every now and then to progress, and it feels substantial, but it's always very obvious what character you need to unlock which door, or reach the ledge, or break the block. And I thought the small skill trees would offer a realm of player choice in this game, but by giving only one character a dash and dodge roll, eventually I just focused on her, Ruby, even though Blake was my favorite, and not just because I want cat ears. Everyone has a ranged and melee attack and a special. The game recommends you spread your points around, but after a little with Blake and playing with the others, I just ended up leveling up Ruby, and the game got much easier. Don't worry too much, by the end I completely filled up the stats for 3 of the characters, but if you don't want to have trouble near the end, I suggest you have an eye on one in particular. You will need to backtrack to some levels, and it does feel a bit fetch questy at times and a little more than onerous. But it wasn't hard to run into levels, dash by the enemies, pick up the things you need, and exit. By the end, this game is almost entirely wave battles, so your patience for those will be a deciding factor in your enjoyment. I tend to enjoy them if the combat is snappy enough, and I found these moments to be the most exhilarating parts of the game, since bosses were little more than pushovers. There are a few times that can be rather spiteful with their save points though, so be warned. Everything in RWBY Arrowfell feels very by the numbers. No surprises or great ambitions hiding under the surface. This is a fine time for fans of the series, but it's hard to recommend to people outside of it. There are literally hundreds of better action platformers you can play out there. This one does happen to be very inoffensive though, and its opening song is an absolute bop that fits snugly into any Crush 40 playlist. So if you still think you'll have some fun or you're a fan of the series, I can nearly guarantee it'll go down pretty easily.
Thank you so much for supporting clickbait-free independent content here at I Dream of Indie. Consider hitting the subscribe button below and helping us bring a voice to the voiceless ones in gaming. There are also memberships. If you hit the join button, you can join our amazing Discord community and so much more. Let's defeat the gaming echo chamber together.